Coming your way on today's Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports, I'm Chase Sr. We have a Sidney Brown injury update coming off a torn ACL from late last year. And yes, we have another new Justin Simmons update. And could the Eagles sign Justin Simmons given what Sidney Brown said about his injury? Stay tuned for that. First, let's start off with the latest around Sidney Brown. Last year during his rookie campaign after the Eagles took him in the draft out of Illinois, I was pleasantly surprised with what he was able to do, and I was impressed with the play of Sidney Brown. I think that he can be a building block for this Eagles defense moving forward. I like his game, and I like how he plays, especially with the speed and physicality component. In the preseason last year, he was knocking dudes back. But he did tear his ACL Week 16 against the Giants on Christmas. The timing of that was unfortunate because at the time of the Eagles' collapse with the defense playing poorly, he started to get some more run, and I thought he had some really solid moments. In the spring during OTAs and mandatory minicamp, he was doing some work on the side, and then at the Devontae Smith softball game over the weekend in the Lehigh Valley, he did provide an injury update as far as how he's doing and how he's recovering and when he might come back. Here's what Sidney Brown had to say about that ACL recovery. I'm back to moving full speed. I'm running about 22 miles per hour again, slowly climbing it up there. I'm still working on lateral movement, but I'll be close to 100% by the start of the season, and we'll see what happens with that. First of all, I want people to realize how difficult it is to run 22 miles per hour, especially on some of those assault treadmills. I've been doing some full body workouts at a class here, and I've been able to get in excellent shape just doing these classes twice a week over the last 3-4 weeks, and I've hit the assault treadmill, and I think that I'm moving fast, and then I look down, and I'm like, I'm nowhere close to 22 miles per hour. So for Sidney Brown to be reaching that speed, that's really good news. My takeaways from that Brown timeline here, if he's ready by September, like he said, week 1 on the road against the Packers in Brazil, that's about 9 months from when he tore his ACL against the Giants. So I do wonder how much he'll do during camp and the preseason, which leads me to this. We've been talking about this all offseason. The Eagles' safety depth is a little bit thin, and that's why I brought up the likes of a Quandre Diggs or an Eddie Jackson or a Justin Simmons. I like Sidney Brown, Reed Blankenship, and C.J. Gardner-Johnson, but I think that you can get better and deeper in improving that position. As for how Brown fared in 2023, all things considered, in a bad defensive scheme for him being a rookie and sometimes having to play out of position, I thought he performed pretty well, had an overall Pro Football Focus grade of 62. I thought that he'd be a little bit better against the run, although he made some big hits around the line of scrimmage. 56.7 the run grade there. I think that he can improve on that. Not much of a pass rusher, so I don't make much of the 49.9 grade there. The coverage grade, pretty good, right around league average at 64.9. He did allow a passer rating when targeted of 113.7. For me, I think back to how he played in the preseason, though, and I thought he played really, really well and showed the potential that he has. And when I scouted Sidney Brown's rookie year and getting ready for this show and just thinking back to some of my overall thoughts on the player, he plays with speed and physicality. He's a classic hair-on-fire type of guy who has this nonstop motor. He made some really good plays around the line of scrimmage. I think that he can be kind of that hybrid linebacker in that dime nickel package. He did get beat when he was playing in the slot. I know that he was a 4.4 40-yard dash guy in the pre-draft process, but I don't think the slot is the spot for him. And because he plays at one speed, sometimes he needs to have a better temperature with how he plays and how he absorbs what is developing in front of his eyes. He can be overly aggressive and over-pursue. That's why at Illinois, and we talked about this after the Eagles selected him, he did miss a lot of tackles. The Eagles safety depth chart. I talked about C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Reed Blankenship, Sidney Brown. Pretty talented there. You do have some injury concerns, though, with C.J. Gardner-Johnson. He's been injured the last 2 years. Reed Blankenship, is he a starter? Is he a reserve? Sidney Brown coming off the torn ACL. And then outside of that, you have Tristan McCullum. You have Mekhi Garner, Andre Sam. Right now, Mekhi Garner, the leader in the clubhouse to make the team out of those depth options there. But look, you bring in a player like Justin Simmons, and that position goes from a question to a big strength, and we're about to talk about him coming up next. First, let's pop up today's poll question. Are you worried about the Eagles' safety depth? Type Y for yes or type N for no. I think going into training camp, going into the 2024 season, I'm a little bit worried about that position group, in addition to off-ball linebacker, wide receiver 3, and maybe backup running back. I think the Eagles have done a good job of stacking up the depth on the offensive line, which is another one of my concerns going into this year. We have a Justin Simmons update to get to next. First, these Cooper DeJean shirts. They're awesome. By the way, check out the new swag here. Eagles Now shirts. Would you buy one of these? Type Y for yes or type N for no down in the comment section. Let's call it $25. Would you cop one? Well, you can get one of these Cooper DeJean shirts as well. Chatsports.com/DeJean, available in black and Kelly green. We'll put that link down below in the comment section and in the description of this video. Justin Simmons update. Let's get to that next here on today's Philadelphia Eagles Now. NFL insider Breer of Sports Illustrated saying he would love to see Justin Simmons back in Vic Fangio's defense. We also have some updated odds to sign Justin Simmons if the Denver Broncos do not bring him back. What do you notice? The Philadelphia Eagles have the second best odds to land Justin Simmons at 6-1, right behind the New York Giants, ahead of the Buffalo Bills, San Francisco 49ers, and the Cleveland Browns. Here is what Breer did say about Simmons. I love the idea of Justin Simmons in either the Vic Fangio style of defense he's played in for the Broncos since 2019 or in a Seattle Seahawks type of defense. That's why I'd really like to see him as the center fielder in the Niners defense, which has historically played the Seattle 3 scheme and also just brought aboard Brandon Staley, whom Simmons knows well from the Fangio tree. So 2 NFC powers could be in the running to sign Justin Simmons: Eagles, Niners, and then in the NFC East, the New York Giants. But everything that we've kind of gathered is that Justin Simmons is taking his time because he wants to go to a winner. The New York Giants, not a winner, but they're looking to replace Xavier McKinney, who they lost in free agency to the Green Bay Packers. Why I think Simmons to the Birds makes sense and why I'd make the move if I was Howie Roseman: he's one of the best safeties in the NFL, and you can have one of the best players at his position for cheap and a very affordable price. He dramatically improves the secondary that last year was bad, has been remade this offseason, which is great, but why not add even more talent at a position that you could use him at? It also allows C.J. Gardner-Johnson to roam. That's one of his strengths. You can use him as that Swiss Army knife, whereas Simmons can be that center fielder and that deep safety. More experience and swagger, always good, fits the culture, team captain with Denver. And think about what Justin Simmons and C.J. Gardner-Johnson would be able to do. They would be able to generate a lot of turnovers. In fact, back in 2022, when C.J. Gardner-Johnson played his lone season in Philadelphia, he actually tied with Justin Simmons for the league high in interceptions. Since coming into the league, Simmons has the most picks in the NFL, and then C.J. Gardner-Johnson has 7 picks in his last 15 games. What did the Eagles not do last year? Generate turnovers. And if you can do that in the secondary with this defensive line, being able to eat, they have a lot of talent. Vic Fangio, he's going to be licking his chops. How did Simmons fare in 2023? Pretty good. Now, the overall Pro Football Focus grade lower than previous years, but he was still a second-team All-Pro. 67.9 the grade there. He excelled against the run at 77.6. That's not even his forte. It's against the pass. Pass rush grade of 71.3. Coverage grade of 63.4. So is that the dip that some teams think is happening here because he's on the wrong side of 30? I still think he's balling, and all of that came on 597 coverage snaps. I know that we've talked about Justin Simmons a lot here on this show. A lot of people love it. Some people don't. If you're tired of me talking about Justin Simmons, that's fine. Now is your time to take out your anger on me by typing F Chase down in the comment section. If you want to tell me that you don't like me on social media, you can do that as well. Or you can tell me that you really like the show. At Chase_Senior, approaching 13,000 followers on X. and approaching 31,000 followers on IG.